Jai Mahamaya ki, Jai Bole Baba ki, Jai. In our last discourse, we learned about Praladha leaving his realm and coming up to earth, where he went to all the sacred sites and was bathing and doing his practices there. So let's go on to chapter 9 now. Vedavyasa, telling the story, continued. After performing duly his religious rites there, the son of Hiranyakasipu saw before him a sacred peepal tree. There he saw, along with the feathers of vultures, the terrible sharpened under a stone, various glittering arrows arrayed in due order. He was surprised to think who could keep such arrows well guarded in this very holy hermitage of the Rishi. While Praladha was thus meditating in his mind, he saw before him, wearing the skin of black antelope, the two sons of Dharma, the two munis, Nara and Narayana, loaded on their heads with high clots of hair. Before them were placed the two white bows, the bows of Vishnu and Shiva, respectively, bearing their qualified marks as well as their two inexhaustible big quivers. The Lord of the Deitas then saw those two blessed ones, the two rishis, Nara and Narayana, the two sons of Dharma, deeply absorbed in meditation. Seeing this, he became very much enraged. His eyes became red, and he began to address them thus: "O two ascetics, has vain arrogance possessed your minds to destroy religion? It is never seen nor even heard that the practice of severe asceticism and the holding of the bows and arrows were carried into effect simultaneously by one man in any of the 4 ages. These two are contradictory things that may be worthy in the Kali Yuga. This asceticism is fit for the Brahmanas. Why, then, are the bows and arrows held by you?" There is an irreconcilable difference between the holding of clotted hairs on the head and the holding in the hand of the bows and arrows. Therefore, do you practice religious rites with feeling befitting your divine positions? O descendants of Bharata. On hearing thus the Prahlada's words, the Nara Rishi said, "O Lord of the Deitas, what matters it to you? Why do you for nothing trouble yourself with our tapasya? An able man can accomplish anything. It is widely known in the 3 worlds that we are able to accomplish these 2 things. O thou of weak understanding. In the battlefield, as well as in asceticism, we can show our prowess. What have you got to do with us in these matters? The road before you is unobstructed. You can go wherever you like. Why do you brag of your own merits? You are very dull and stupid. What can you understand of the Brahmanic glory that is very rare and attained with great difficulties? Those that want happiness need not meddle with the Brahmanas." Prahlada said, "Blunt-headed and vain beggars are you. When I am present in this tirtha, I, who am the upholder of Dharma, I won't allow you to practice any irreligious things here. O ascetics, better show me your skill in fight today." The Rishi Nara, on hearing his words, replied, "Give us battle if you are so desirous, O wretched amongst the Asuras. In today's battle I will knock your head down, and then you shall never in future desire to fight with anybody." On hearing these words, the chief of the Deitas became very much angry and promised to conquer these 2 self-controlled rishis, ascetics, Nara and Narayana, by any means whatsoever. Thus saying, the Deitas took up his bow and quickly stretched it with his arrow, and bow string made a terrible noise. Then Nara too took up with anger his bows and began to shoot arrows at Prahlada, lots of sharpened arrows and weapons. The Lord of the Deities quickly selected the arrows, glittering like gold, and with them tore asunder the arrows thrown by Nada. Nada, seeing his arrows cut asunder, became infuriated with anger and began to hurl as quickly lots of arrows. Prahlada then cut asunder with arrows of quick velocity the Nada's weapons and struck violently on the breast of Nada. Nada, too, with anger, pierced the arms of Prahlada with 5 quick arrows. Indra and the other devas came in their respective airplanes to see this fight and began to give cheers, sometimes to Nada and sometimes to Prahlada from above the skies. The Lord of the Deities, taking up his bow, began out of furious anger to hurl various weapons to Nada as incessantly as clouds give rain over the mountain peaks. The Nada Muni now became very much exhausted and weary, being struck with Prahlada's arrows. Narayana, seeing this, Nada exhausted, became very much amazed, and holding his unequaled saringa bow, began to quit arrows shining with golden luster. Then Narayana and Prahlada both were desirous to win the victory, and a terrible fight ensued. The Devis gladly poured forth flowers on their heads from the skies. The king of the deities got very much enraged and began to hurl arrows with tremendous quickness. Narayana, the son of Dharma, immediately cut asunder those arrows with his very sharp arrows. Narayana, too, threw arrows sharpened under stones with great velocity and very much troubled the Lord of the deities, who now became very much restless. The sky was covered over with arrows, and arrows from both the parties, and the day looked like night. Then the devas and the deities were very much astonished and told each other, "We never have seen such a terrible fight like this." The 2 rishis, Narada and Parvata, came also to witness this fight. The Deva Rishi Narada told the Parvata Rishi that he never had seen such a dreadful fight. There were awful battles with Taharaksura and Vitrasura, and also the battle between Hari and Madhukatipa, but they were all inferior and cannot stand in comparison. It seemed that Prahlada was very powerful, otherwise how could an equal last so long a time with such an accomplished person, perfect with all the supernatural powers, and of course as skilled as Narayana. Day and night, the deities and the ascetic Narayana went on fighting terribly with each other. Then Narayana cut off with the arrows the bow of Prahlada. Prahlada soon took up another bow. The expert-handed Narayana quickly broke into 2 that bow also. Thus, though Prahlada's arrows were repeatedly cut asunder, still he began to take up fresh bows, and Narayana began to cut them repeatedly. Thus then, when all the bows of Prahlada were destroyed, the deity Raja took up Paraga, iron club, became enraged and threw it at Narayana. The powerful Bhagavan Narayana, seeing the dreadful iron club, cut it asunder with the arrows and pierced Prahlada with 10 arrows. Then Prahlada, enraged, threw the iron gada on Narayana's thighs. The exceedingly powerful Dharma's son was not at all agitated and stood firm like a rock, and taking up arrows quickly cut asunder the iron gada of the deity. Then the visitors were much startled. Then Prahlada, intent on killing his enemy, became very angry and threw the Shakti darts, spears, and missiles instantly at Narayana's thighs with great velocity. Narayana was with one arrow cut that easily into 7 parts, and with 7 arrows pierced Prahlada. Thus for 1,000 Divya years, the terrible fight lasted between Prahlada and Narayana in that hermitage, and the whole universe was struck with surprise. Then Vishnu, with yellow robes and 4 hands, quickly came there and called Praladha, the son of Hiranyakasipu. Praladha, seeing the Lord of the Lakshmi, 4-armed Vishnu with lotus and disk in his hands, came there, bowed low, and with folded hands began to speak with him with great devotion. Praladha said, O Deva the Devas, you are the Lord of the universe and devoted to your devotees. O Mahadev, I was fighting for full 1,000 Deva years. Still, I have not been able to defeat this ascetic. I do not know why. I am surprised at it. Vishnu said, O forgiving one, these 2 rishis, Nara and Narayana, are the perfect ascetics, self-controlled and born of my parts. Therefore you have not been able to defeat them. What wonder is there, O king? Better go now to your Patala and keep your steadfast devotion. O intelligent one, do not quarrel any more with these 2 ascetics. The deity king, Praladha, having been advised by Vishnu, went out of that place with his asura followers, and the 2, Nara and Narayana, began again to practice their tapasya. Here ends the 9th chapter of the 4th book of the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses on the fight between the rishis and Praladha by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Hare Kandashvari Mata ki jai, Vishveshvari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.